having to work the gate when locals would bring their sick kids and everything else to the gate, and you have to tell them, no, I'm not letting you in, I can't treat you. And these kids are like, it'll be something as simple as we just give them some antibiotics and they'll be all right. Like, I could go back to the hospital right now, grab a Z-Pack and bring it back to the front, and this kid will be okay. And I would have to say no to this local national because this is for U.S. troops, or unless you have like some allies, or if it's some strategic value.
What up, what up, what up? It's Three Brothers No Sense. I am Tavares Ferguson, a.k.a. Ferg, joined my co-host, Buff and Razi. Fellas, tell them what's on your mind.
For the love of God, give us all of your Hulu, Netflix suggestions, because I am running low. I mean, I am down to, dog, I just watched the show on my DVR. It was so old, I hadn't gotten around to watching it. The commercials are airing Being Mary Jane. Remember that show on BT with Gabrielle Union?
Which you kind of want to watch now, right?
Well, not exactly, but no, it was some shows called Finding Justice. They did a series with that T.I. and some more people on.
I told you, 100 Humans, man.
You know what, man? We tried that. It looked kind of, I don't know.
It's weird. It's social experiments, man. Like, I like to study people and try to learn from observing people. So, that I think it caught me. I didn't plan on watching it. I think my stepmom was over here and my wife put it on because it was something she thought she'll like. And you just kind of like sit down and you don't want to change the channel. Like, hold on, this is kind of good. All right, I'll see y'all later. And kept the show going. So that's how that happened.
I was watching All American, but it just got a little too cheesy for me, man. So I bailed on that. But I did find there's a docuseries on Netflix called Dirty Money, and they document like the whole Wells Fargo incident, the HSBC incident, Trump. They got a Jared Kushner episode. So I found those interesting. So if you got any suggestions, please post them on our page.
Hey, if you got about an hour and a half to spare, Uncorked is really good. It's a little
I watched that too.
Okay, yeah. That was a good one. So, the only thing I got, man, is shout out to all the DJs out there, because these live DJ sessions and jam sessions that everybody's doing is getting us through, man. Manny Fresh and Scott Storch last night went so hard, man.
Yeah, I caught part of it.
Yeah, that was a good one. I've been watching some little DJ out of like Prattville, Alabama, doing a blues concert on Thursday, and I shared that. Bro, don't shake your head. The blues is the blues, man. It's good. So yeah, that's been kind of.
I never got into that. I remember we used to come home from a drill, circa 2005, and Fino and Slim, Blue Saturday morning.
Blue Saturday, yep.
Nah, man, life was going too hard back then in good old Florida, so I was still on that Florida music. And so, man, speaking of DJs,
I'm telling you, you go and you put on Hole in the Wall, like all of those, man, come on.
I can listen to one or two songs in a row that I'm familiar with. I'm not gonna just have a blues mix. But hey, I think it was just a different environment. But I didn't get into it before I left Mobile, and they really didn't play blues like that in Tallahassee. So I never heard it on the radio stations. I was in a college town my younger years, and they definitely don't play it in Houston.
But you didn't have a Jerry Curl wearing Pops that played it in the car when y'all were riding somewhere?
Nah, man. Pops played R&B. Or a little gangster rap at some points, but never blues. Now I did grow up. I mean, trust me, I heard the blues. I grew up in my grandmother's house a lot, so cheating in the next room, all that good stuff. I got you, So these last $2, now that song does kind of ride.
Yeah, exactly.
That song does kind of ride. I will give you that. But, so it's not like I'm oblivious to blues. I am still from Mobile, and Blues Saturday was still going on in the 90s. So, I used to get annoyed because I couldn't listen to any good radio if my CD player wasn't acting up or something like that. So you've been listening to somebody out of Prattville. So who's your favorite DJ so far? Who brought back the most memories? I think that's what it is for me, nostalgia.
I'm gonna have to go with my homeboy Type Mike when he got on. Again, it's an easy answer, right? I always go with your homies, but no, when Mike started, he did his mix. I really, really liked that one because it had so many on there, like just bangers that we liked and we loved. If you want to talk pro DJs, I will say Manny did it for me. When he did his own thing, not when he was doing him versus Scott Storch. But when he did his own mix and he had like playing everything, it was just straight 90s, 2000 bangers. Loved it.
Mike is a pro DJ, by the way.
Well, yeah. Man, I'm just like super fan, like certified with the check, with the check behind it. Verified. How about that? We'll say that. Verified DJ.
You got on any DJ mixes or anything?
I haven't made it to that part of the quarantine where I'm ready to be entertained by DJs on IG Live. So, no, but I have seen people enjoying it, and it's a good thing that they're doing because people seem to be liking it. So, but I haven't made it there yet.
Well, we had two big DJs out of Tallahassee that just brought back memories. So shout out to DJ Bo Weezy and DJ KD. Man, I almost forgot KD that quick. So those brought back memories of just FAMU parties. And when you go in and they're streaming, it's a FAMU party in there. There's 2,000-3,000 people in there. I think last time I checked, Bo Weezy's last one, it was like 7,000 plus, and you're just seeing names you haven't seen in years, and you have miniature conversations and side conversations. So it was good time. So keep DJing to all the DJs. So let us know, hit us up, follow us. For any of our listeners, add your DJs on there so they can invite the rest of our listeners on there. So we're gonna have some fun because this quarantine does not look like it's ending anytime soon. Yes, as far as me, I want to take a second out to just talk about the impact of this coronavirus outside of just the illness or potential illness itself. It's about the financial situation, how so many people have lost their jobs. I want to say over 10 million people have lost jobs already
in the last 2 weeks.
Yep. 6.6 million in 1 week.
Yep.
For unemployment.
Largest ever.
That is crazy.
It's a third of all the jobs that we've added since the Great Recession in 2008. Think about that. We've lost a third of those jobs.
So for any of our listeners or that have suffered from that or have family members that have suffered from that or just people they know, man, you're going to make it through it. My hat's off to you. My prayers go out to you on behalf of Three Brothers, man. Just stay strong. And I guess things will be better one day. So just hopefully you guys planned. And this is hitting more than just the fact that you can't go out to eat. You can't, touch anybody. It's social distancing, being scared about getting sick. It's, will I have a job next week? And even after all this, I think the recession is set. I think it's going to take a while, and maybe Razi can speak to that a little better than I can, but it's going to take us a while to recover from this wholeheartedly. So for all you guys who still have jobs, I would advise you to make sure you're paying attention to your finances now more than ever, or at least more than usual. Take advantage of some of these, I guess, COVID-19 breaks. And
that CARES Act that Congress passed actually is a really robust act. That legislation is huge. $2 trillion. I know a lot of it's going into corporate pockets and things like that, and there's contention about that, but the checks that are going out, the relief for people, when they have to pay the mortgages, things like that. You're talking about, being able to go to your banks and be able to get all your fees waived, all your late fees, those types of things. You should be able to get those back. So, I'll be doing a little bit of a video probably sometime next week about that. Just kind of explaining a little bit of it, and also just kind of giving some ideas on, even if you don't necessarily have to have like that COVID check or be able to, have to defer or forbear your mortgage payments and things, I'm going to talk about a couple of ways that you can get around and use that to your advantage, even if you don't necessarily have to have that forbearance for your mortgage and stuff. So a lot of good information coming out next week. I got to make some notes about it, and I'll throw that out there on a video for you guys.
And any of you small business owners, there's things out there for you guys as well. So I know people like Shelly, Waukesha, we have a bunch of small business owners on here that, due to the coronavirus, your business is definitely interrupted. So people, please pay attention, go out and use these things that are out there for us. Even if you got to fight for it, that's the reason they have it. And I know a lot of times if it's just not given to us, we don't take advantage of those programs. And so really research. I'm going to look into some things, and hopefully I'm not as knowledgeable as Razi over here, but I'm going to look into some things as well, especially for trying to support some of these small businesses, because I know, making investments and not having that turn around quick enough is going to be huge. I mean, big for some people. So anything I missed out on, fellas?
I think you covered it all.
Well, because some of us can't pay no bills, let's go pay some bills.
Lowe's knows that free is just better. That's why MyLowe's Rewards is free to join. As a member, you earn points towards MyLowe's money on eligible purchases, get exclusive free gifts, and earn free shipping at Silver Key status, all on top of weekly member-only deals. Don't wait. Join MyLowe's Rewards for free today and start saving more. Lowe's, we help, you save. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change.
All right, we're back. Three Brothers No Sense. It's question time. But before we get into questions, I'm going to call my boy Razi out to the carpet and see, do you have a joke for us? And, man, is it funny?
I mean, I was trying to kind of think of one, but due to the quarantine, it's just going to be an inside joke, so I don't think I got anything for y'all today.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Bro, can you add a rim shot to that?
I know.
I mean, they're getting better or worse. I don't.
They're getting.
Yeah.
They're there. What is that? A Dr. Pepper vanilla?
Oh, yo, that Dr. Pepper and cream soda is freaking delicious, bruh. Like if you like cream soda,
I love.
Yeah,
Ferg,
and Dr.
Ferg
Pepper,
loves cream soda.
You can taste both of them in there. So it's not cream soda and it's not Dr. Pepper. You can taste both of them, both of the flavors, like just in your mouth, like an explosion of flavor. Like the little Dr. Pepper dude be like, yeah, like that's how it feels going in your mouth, bro.
Stop.
You like the flavor in your mouth, huh?
Yeah. Oh man, best cream soda.
Sophomore.
Go. Best cream soda.
A&W, hands down.
It's A&W.
Faygo in the bottle.
No.
Oh, though a cold Faygo in the bottle. I mean, I'm talking about the glass bottle from like 19.
I grew up on Faygo. I like Faygo, but the only one that I would put them number one at is the peach. The peach in the bottle.
That Faygo cream soda. When I used to work at Winn-Dixie, bro, I used to mysteriously be able to pull one of those away every day for work. That was my compensation.
I'll give you Faygo blue raspberry. I'll put them on top for that, and I'll put them on top for the red pop. That red cream soda is actually good.
But
until you had Big Red.
Blue raspberry?
Big Red. You gotta respect Big Red.
Yeah, Big Red is. Yeah. What were you saying about blue raspberry?
Does anybody else make that?
I'm pretty.
Faygo has, or not Faygo, but Fanta has a blue raspberry too, don't they?
I couldn't tell you.
And I wouldn't be surprised if Czech has one too. So I'm pretty sure half our listeners have no idea what any of those.
Yeah, we alienated them like we did that B Spice post on Facebook. B Spice was a Mobile thing, man. It was not nationwide.
I remember what was 6th, 7th grade. We had a blast with that game.
Mm-hmm.
That almost started many a fight. So
I think the homie Mike James said they call it BB where he was from, but it was the same thing.
B Spice rolled in with a game of I Can't Tell You That was fight ready to happen. But I digress. So let me bring us in with everybody talks about 2020 being a crazy year so far, you know. 2020. So the last few years, you know, the older I get, the more I realize that, you know, life happens. You know, you're part of this thing called life. And so I used to hate the old cliche saying everything happens for a reason. How do you guys feel about everything happens for a reason?
That's the remix version of the church saying,
is God's will.
Yeah.
Bruh, like, you know, how I feel about it at this point in my life. Like, you know, straight BS. Everything doesn't happen for a reason. I mean, life and the universe is chaos, bruh. That's how I look at it. Things do happen. Random things happen. And there's no rhyme or reason to it. There is no bigger plan. I just think, you know, good things happen to bad people, bad things happen to good people. And such is life, you know, and so, because there's no reason for, you know, Jenica to have passed. Like, in her prime, everything good. Like, she was a beautiful person, doing things well, and for her to pass, you know, I don't see where the plan is there. I don't see where, you know, just things happen randomly or there's some type of plan for it. So, but
it's not meant for you to see. I mean, I'm being the devil's advocate. You know, there's like, or you don't see the plan yet.
I get it. But, you know, I don't see the bigger plan, and it may not be meant for me to see, but I don't know where where all those things are gonna tie back together and be like, oh yeah, here's the reason why my wife passed. You know what I mean? I don't see that. And I don't think I'm ever going to see and be able to put the pieces together. You know, if 15 years down the road I finally find another wife or another girl that makes me as happy as Jenica did, and this, that, and the other, I don't see that being part of the plan, that, you know, I had to struggle for 10, 15 years so that I can find another person like her when I had her, you know? Yeah. And so I don't see, for me, I just don't, I don't get it. And I think it's I feel like it's BS. And like I said, it's chaos so you do have to deal with it and just understand that it happens. Things happen and that are out of our control. But for it to be a plan, I'm not with it.
Yeah.
Well, so I agree with Razi in a lot of ways, but I do like the pushback that you gave him, because I think that's the automatic thing that people are going to say. So I'll just address your statement and the family of statements that go with it. Everything happens for a reason. God works in mysterious ways. God doesn't make any mistakes. The only one of those three that I can rock with to an extent is God don't make any mistakes. The whole God works in mysterious ways, okay, I'll give you that, but I think that's just something people say when they don't have an answer. Same thing with your original statement. Everything happens for a reason. People say that because they don't know what else to say. They don't know how to explain it. But God, by saying that God doesn't make any mistakes, I can agree with that. And I know that's kind of like the same family, but if you believe in a higher being, if you believe in God and things like that, then I can understand one thinking that way. But other than that, man, I agree with almost everything Razi just said.
Does it need to be said, though? I think that's a lot
Which
of times.
one?
Any of them. You know, because at the time of grieving, you know, is there anything anybody can say like that just makes it better? Like, you know, Razi, you know, you've had a tough year, tough month, man, you know, and it's God is making mistakes. Maybe he doesn't, but that doesn't help, you know, because I think people try to find the right thing to say and use those words as a, you know, like, I got it. This will make.
The only time I think that would probably need to be said is if you find somebody like questioning God or even cursing God, which is like one of the worst sins ever. Mm-hmm. Then that's when you probably want to tell someone, well, listen, I know you heard. It doesn't even have to be Razi's example. It could be anything. Like, I know you're upset. I'll use me. I know you're angry, but listen, you got to remember God doesn't make any mistakes. But that whole, you know, everything happens for a reason. I put that up there with thoughts and prayers. And I know I've mentioned that on my page before and people have come at me, but I just think 90% of the time when people say thoughts and prayers, it's empty as hell. So, and I try not to use that. Like, you know, we have a buddy that's going through something with his newborn twins, and he'll say, you know, I want you guys to pray. If I say I'm going to pray for you, I usually do it right then. It's not, I'll wait till tonight and say a pray. If I say I'm going to pray for you, I do it right then. Other than that, it comes off as empty. And that's the same thing with, you know, everything happens for a reason. It's just an empty statement.
And I think that's what I guess gets under my skin about the whole thing is people are, and I get it. And I probably was that person a while ago until I went through my own turmoil, and you feel like that's the right thing to say. Everything happens for a reason, you know, to take it one day at a time, all those things, you know, the little cliche things that you say to try to make somebody feel better. And I don't think any of those sayings that we named, people have malice in their heart. Let me go piss off Ferg. Let me piss these people off by saying that. But it's just, to me, it was like never the right time. It's like, yeah, you can't, like Razi said, tell me the plan. Tell me the reason. You know, hey, maybe he made one mistake. You know, like it's all like it doesn't help the situation. You know, I think the biggest thing I've had to deal with as of recent, you know, 2018, my wife and I, we had a tough pregnancy and we lost our son. And it was, you know, people reaching out that had great intent. But it was just like, it was a lot of those sayings. And it's kind of like, so explain to me why we lost our son. You know, somebody who hasn't been in the world to make a mistake, you know, and I understood what they were saying. And one of my friends, a good friend of mine, she, I think they've had some similar situations. And she said the best thing you can always say for you is, I'm here for you. At the end of the day, like, not I understand, like, unless you do kind of understand, and you might not understand a certain amount, you know, but hey, I'm here for you. What do you need? What do you want to talk about? Like, that's it. You know, you can't empathize. Those cliche words really don't make, for a lot of people. I'm speaking for me. And once again, these are just our opinions. They're not facts. They're not anything proven. But the way I look at it is, to me, those things don't necessarily help. I don't necessarily believe, you know, everything happens. I don't, you know, once again, I'm not a believer in absolutes or whatever. What are you about to say?
Let me ask you this, though. Do you guys believe some things happen for a reason? Because I do think we do need to go through some type of struggle in order to appreciate the blessings that we do come across. So do some things happen for a reason, or do you just believe things happen and it's not necessarily for a reason?
Well, I don't believe in any absolute. So of course some things happen for a reason, you know. But what I will say is, Razi, when you said the world is chaos, when we lost our son, my take, I learned, I would say two main things that came with that is I learned that I'm a part of this thing called life. because it's easy to think those things could happen to everybody else. Those things just don't happen to me. That never happens to me. Then we realize that depending on what study you're looking at, 1 in 3 or 1 in 4 pregnancies end in miscarriage. And you're like, well, damn, didn't know that. Like, we were part of the number. Like, those things really do happen. But for whatever reason, I was so oblivious that those things could never happen to me. Even just those random things that just seem like they can never happen. 1 in a million people die from this. Yeah, but there's always one person. You might happen to be that one person. Those things happen. The second thing I learned, and it's more so the chaos thing, is the world is perfectly imperfect. Like, and the reason I say that, and I'll use my example, was if 1 in 4 or 1 in 3 pregnancies end in miscarriage, how many of those miscarriages or complicated pregnancies led to each one of us being here today? I guarantee there was a miscarriage that happened that 5 generations back that if they would have had that baby, your great great grandmother wouldn't have been born. And so because of the miscarriage before she was born was the reason she was born, was the reason your grandfather was, it's just all those things. At the time, it's a tragedy, but generations later, something not necessarily good, but it's led to the life we live. I used to try to comfort my wife at one point. It was like, there's going to come a time where you're going to have that loving parent moment when you look at our next child. I mean, like, I couldn't imagine the world without him. Even though we lost a son, you're going to be like, hey, wow, this person wouldn't be here. So that's that perfectly imperfect, that it's all these things that happen, 5 generations from now, when my son has his, kids that have his kids, that have his kids, that have his kids. And it's going to be like, none of those people would have been there if we wouldn't have lost the first child. And it just made me, like, going through that, just talking to so many people who were searching for the right things to say. And it was just, and can't even compare it to what you've been through, Razi, but just, everybody wanted to give you those words of comfort. And it's just like, I can't understand it. I can't buy into it. I can't understand why would you think that's the right thing to say? Because if it does happen for a reason, please explain to me the reason. Yeah. Like, please explain to me the reason.
I like what Byron said about, some things happening for a reason. And I agree. Some things happen that lead to something else. And so that when I say chaos, everybody thinks chaos is a bad thing. No. Or like, chaos means that there is no defining, here's the linear path that it's going to go on. It's not defined. And so when people say you don't know God's plan, it's because it's chaos. Because there is no linear, like, there's no function that we can put this in and say, here's the answer right here. I can define exactly what should happen based on, this theory. And so since there is that, there's no theory that can actually define it, it's chaos. And so I agree, Byron, when you said, I think there is a place for God has a plan and everything if somebody's questioning God. If somebody is questioning their faith and things like that's where you need to kind of bring that in. But I don't think you need to say it that needs to be your go-to every time somebody is hurting or in pain, because it does ring hollow, or it just, at that point, they're not going to be receptive to it. And I've heard it plenty of times, and, over the last month, and I don't even get mad or anything at anybody else, but I mean, like I said, tell me the plan then. Just like you said, Ferg, tell me the plan. I can't be receptive to it right now. And maybe it's because I need to hear it more and more and more, and maybe they are thinking that, I'm questioning God or I'm pulling back from my faith because of it, because of the situation. And so that's why they're trying to reinforce that. and right now, but it's one of those things that by reinforcing that, by saying it a lot, depending on the person, you could push them away from their faith.
Yeah.
When you bring it up.
We pick and choose when we want to accept that too, because I remember when Hurricane Katrina happened and the pastor said, well, God did that for a reason, or same thing with 9/11, like God was punishing people. Like people got all upset. Like, so you either believe God does something for a reason or he doesn't. But I feel like we pick and choose the feel good parts of it.
Yeah, but when you, I think
it's like on Vampire in Brooklyn when Eddie Murphy got up there as the preacher and he was like, evil is good.
Yeah, but I think with the Hurricane Katrina buff, it was like when you try to explain God's plan, like when you're like, oh, he was punishing, that shit just happened because he was punishing people. Really? Like, oh, you knew? Were you on that conference call? Like, what happened? So all the babies and elderly, all these people that randomly died during this, that was because he was punishing. And, we don't know, once again, we don't know the plan.
But it would be tasteless, though, like if kids got molested or something like that. You say, well,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and we're talking about personal stuff. Think about
like,
all the craziness we've seen.
Yeah.
Think about how many kids died in those Trump camps. During the deportation of about a year or so ago, all these people that were kids being molested. Explain that to me. I can't see it. And maybe I'm shallow, or maybe I'm asking too much, where I'm like, maybe it's not meant for me to see. It might not be the plan, or that the reason is for me. Maybe it's, according to the Bible, God punished one of his greatest people in Job. Maybe my punishment or what I'm going through isn't meant for me.
Oh, let me stop. I said on a bet. He punished him on a bet. He had a bet.
Oh, yeah.
Bet with the devil. Like, that's basically what it was. It was a bet with the devil.
That
Job would turn away from him. Like, let's be honest about what it was.
Yeah, I didn't want to get too deep. I think that's the first time we've actually made a true biblical reference in 30 plus episodes. So maybe it's the 33rd. Jesus died at 33. No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I don't know. But no, that was what I wanted to hear from that question. Just wanted to get your thought process, because even with COVID, we have all these, I'm not going to call conspiracy theorists, but people think there's more to the whole COVID-19 crisis than what meets the eye. Then, it's
martial law for money.
The Russians, it's some of everything. I've even talked to somebody like,
5G,
hey,
the 5G is the funniest to me, though.
5G. Hey, man, it doesn't matter if Trump's popularity goes up or down. There won't be an election in November. If you go into the polls in November, Buff?
With a mask on and gloves. Yep. He got to go, bro.
No more than 10.
Don't care what's going on.
Your vote's gonna be your one vote is it.
Yep. Breaking news. Whoever the Democratic candidate is wins Virginia.
By one vote.
Oh man, that's hilarious. What y'all got for me, man? I'm sipping on this gin and tonic, so let's keep it good.
So we talked about our jobs several times on the show, and I have a feeling what you guys' answers are gonna be, because you're too goody two shoes. So I have a follow-up question for it, just in case y'all go the route I think you're gonna go. But let's start with the original question, which is the jobs that you had in your lifetime. Has there ever been an ethical dilemma in the course of doing your job that you had to either put your ethics aside in order to complete the job, or I guess you just outright didn't do it. You just found a way to get out of it. But has there ever been a, ethically questionable task that you had to do within one of the jobs that you had?
My first job out of college, I sold cigarettes, right? I literally work for Big Tobacco.
All those ethics got put to the side.
What's crazy is I had did some research prior to graduating on. Never mind. That's just my research. Pretty much counteracted what I did. You know, surfactant production, all that kind of stuff. Talking about all kind of crazy stuff. And yeah, I sold Big Tobacco. So probably once a week, I got cornered by some mother or whatever the case may be. How could you sell cigarettes? Do you know kids are buying these things? Ma'am, tobacco is a product that is for adults. And it says as soon as you walk in the door, if you're under the age of 18, that you shouldn't do it. If you look at the Surgeon General warning, yada, 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 yada. And I almost I was so good at just making myself believe things. I started believing what I was saying. Like, look, what I got good at it was like, look, I've done some research once again back in my younger years on all these things that were carcinogenic. Everybody and their mother knows that cigarettes are dangerous. I noticed you have a Diet Coke in your shopping basket.
Aspartame.
There are items in that Coke that you're looking at right now that are under FDA research to have carcinogenic effects. Oh, I noticed that you have some Lunchables in your, like, I'm just going down the list. Like, these things are under research for having health have health risks, but we don't question those things. We still give them to our kids and stuff like that, yada, yada, yada. But we know cigarettes kill. So everybody, a 5-6-year-old knows these things are dangerous. So people are making their own choice about something they already know the dangers of. So yes, ma'am, I'm okay with selling cigarettes. I wasn't okay with selling cigarettes. I was fooling myself, man. But that was it. I can't even say my former car, the car company, I used to upsell people. They didn't need that. I used to pimp people to get them to buy insurance and crap and ups.
Yeah. You need credit life on this loan. Yes, you do need credit life on this loan.
Or you see those bootleg insurance. Like, ma'am, you know you can't get in my car without that. But that insurance you got, why? Because, well, it's not going to cover my car. Technically, I could not rent to them, but I couldn't force them to. I could choose not to rent to them because I didn't feel comfortable, but I could not force them to buy the insurance. But I forced them to buy the insurance.
For her.
Hey, man, I need my numbers, man. I need to get my numbers. When I look back on it, it was so crazy just because those are the people that didn't need my insurance because they messed up my cars. At the end of the day, it's almost like having they'll have full coverage on a car, but we were self-insured. So you buy insurance for $20 a day and you bring back my car and you got $500 worth of damage. You walk away scot-free, but that $500 damage, that's coming out of my branch profits. They used to kill me, bro. By my last 3 months there, I had 3 total losses. People completely total out my car that had insurance on it for maybe 2-3 days. So maybe $40,000 worth of damage, and I probably collected $200 worth of insurance.
So that's not ethically wrong. Then that's just a good business decision. That's really what that is.
That was a horrible business decision for me. I was forcing people and stuff, man. Like I was.
It's the law of numbers, though. You have to sell enough of that insurance to cover those $40,000 losses.
Depends on where you're at, though. Like I was in that branch. My branch was like the East Side High of Enterprise, man. Did y'all know hookers work during the day?
Yeah.
No, dog. I didn't know that. Maybe I was blind. My branch was on the corner of 59 and Bissonnette, so any of my Houston listeners. And that's the number one road in Houston. Like 7 o'clock in the morning, and my branch was right next to one of those cheap pay by the hour hotels. So it was going on. Dog, 7 o'clock in the morning.
Like the Star Motel in Mobile?
Yes, dog. Dog, you could set your watch by these chicks walking up and down the street. And this is not the back street. This is like my branch is on the corner. They'll walk down the service road The hotels here, strip clubs, probably like a half a mile down. They made it a stroll. Like, you can time them. I remember one time I ended up leaving the house late, and I guess some dude tried to rob one of the day walkers. I called them the day walkers. Police caught him, shot the dude, shot the police. Police shot him. So when I pull up, it's like yellow tape murder scene type thing. Like, that's where I was at. So that area, I had strippers paying for rental cars in cash, trying to pay in cash. So when I say I'm making them, because of course they don't have insurance, I'm making them buy insurance. The law of averages weren't in my number. My law of numbers wasn't good for me. Like, they're going to mess this up, and they already knew the game. Let me get that full coverage. You got to the point where they already knew. Let me go ahead and get that full coverage. Oh Lord.
Because they knew.
They already knew.
I was the same way. I mean, when I managed Westgate on Arkadelphia Boulevard, there's that same thing happening. I used to, all my other branch manager friends, I'd like have an email blast where I would tell them the story of the day about the prostitutes and the cops and everything else that was around the branch. And like, so here's what happened today, you know. So I get it, man. But you know, I'm probably the straight-laced one of the group. So
you're a banker.
Yeah, and I'm a banker. So ethics in my job, I don't really have to worry about. I mean, my current job. And since I've been there since college, I don't have to worry about it. But I think the biggest one for me, and Ferg, you probably are right there along with me, is when we were in Afghanistan, having to work the gate when locals would bring their sick kids and everything else to the gate, and you have to tell them, no, I'm not letting you in. I can't treat you. And these kids are like, it'll be something as simple as we just give them some antibiotics and they'll be all right. Like, I could go back to the hospital right now, grab a Z-Pack and bring it back to the front, and this kid will be okay. And I would have to say no to this local national because this is for U.S. troops, or unless you have like
or allies.
Some allies, or
you know the Italians were popping
strategic
like
value. Like, you know, if it's a local Mukhtar or a local sheikh that brings that kid up, and it's gonna actually help us have some strategic value, then yes, we will take that kid in. We will give them that Z-Pack. We will do whatever we need to. But you know, if it's some random local that rolls up and they're like, please help my baby, and you just got to be like, I'm sorry, I can't help you. I mean, that ethically for me was just, I felt like it was wrong, but you know, we had to say no.
Do you remember the one dude? He was one of our first patients when we got to Afghanistan. He was a landmine victim. Stepping on landmine, partial amputation of his left leg. So he went back to Bagram for maybe 2-3 months, forgot all about the guy. We had an incoming chopper one day dropping off. I think they were picking up patients and they ended up dropping him off. So this dude is in the middle of Afghanistan, war-torn country. I think his house was maybe 10 plus miles away. And to a taxi there would have been maybe $5. And instead they wanted to make us have him hobble home on. Did we let him keep the crutches?
They wanted us to take them back. We let them keep them.
Yeah, they wanted us to take the crutches back.
We were supposed to take the crutches back.
It was like, no, they're you know, they're we can't use them. They're unusable. So we just gave them to him, quote unquote. And so we let him, I think he stayed because it was late. So he stayed in, I think, the hospital that night or something like that.
Yeah, we had to guard him the whole night. Yep.
Yeah. And we couldn't find a way. It's like, dude, I'll pay $5 out of my own pocket. But it was unethical. We personally cannot pay for him, for transit for him. So I think what we end up doing was, I think we gave
it to the Terps and then let the Terps pay for it.
Yeah, that's what it was like. Normeen. No, we had Normeen or whatever. What's the guy?
Yeah.
Was it Normeen?
Normeen, yeah.
Normeen, who I do not trust. Did not trust.
I didn't trust
the
Normeen
random
either.
guy that just looked too much like if this would have been a movie, he would have been a guy like, I think he's the bad guy.
No,
Like,
Normeen was our guy that if we needed something off the local community, we called Normeen and Normeen would get it. We'd be like, Normeen, we want a satellite. And he'd be like, oh, no problem, my friend. And then the next day, we'll have like this big, huge satellite dish.
And it might already have wood planks, like he stole this shit from somebody's roof or something. It was already used. It was a new satellite. You had wires already on it and all this stuff. But I think we gave him or the Terps the money and said, we told Normeen to buy something, whatever the overages were, or the change was, to give it to him for his taxi. But that was kind of crazy. I couldn't sleep that night. Well, I couldn't sleep because I had to guard him, but I couldn't sleep that night. The military definitely, probably both. Let me stop. And I'm pretty sure you dealt with a lot more than that in Iraq.
Yeah.
Razi, the shit you had to see.
Yeah, man. I mean, so that ethics, it's a thin line. Because the thing about it is you can be ethically sound, because, I was a contracting officer rep, so I had to be ethically sound, when I did contracts and things like that. But at the same time, you're doing things that are in the best interest of the military, that they don't look at it as an ethical issue. And maybe it's not. Maybe it's a moral issue more than it is an ethical issue.
It's your ethics. You can have an ethical issue.
That's what I should ask. Moral.
Yeah.
It can be your ethics versus your morals. Ethically, it's sound, but your morals, because even with the guy, we didn't want that to become a norm. We didn't want to be all of a sudden setting up a transit system, and that becomes the expectation. Because once you do it for one person, you can expect it. They can expect you to do it for everybody. So
Razi, when I said you're a banker, I didn't mean that as bankers are squeaky clean.
Oh.
Like you may be, but 2008 did happen. I mean, bankers.
No, I mean, I made a joke about Credit Life because when Ferg was talking about the insurance, and there's all kind of little things that bankers will pitch and upsell and all kind of other stuff. Oh, you need these 7 things when you come to open a basic checking account. I got to get you all this other stuff and everything. And a lot of times bankers do that. And, I had to make my sales numbers too. I did it. But the thing about it is I did stick to my morals, and like one of the things I learned in sales training was we don't sell a customer anything that they don't need, but we sell them every last thing that they do need. And so that's how I always kind of looked at it, as out of those 7 things that the bank wants me to sell them, I can find 3 or 4 that I really feel like they do need. Hey, you need a checking account, you need a savings account at some point. I need to get you to pay yourself, so we need this automatic transfer. So there's things that I can, but I'm educating them, and I'm telling them why they need these things, not necessarily just kind of doing it just to get them out of the door. And so I think that's what a lot of times happens with like Wells and things like that. They were so big on share of wallet that they talked about cross-selling to the point where bankers were opening up savings accounts, doing an automatic transfer, sending out the debit card, and weren't even telling the person that they were doing all of it. It was just automatic. Oh, it's a package deal. All of it comes together. And so they were just sending it out, and the customer walked away thinking all they had was a checking account. That was the problem. That's really why Wells got the big, lawsuit behind it. So it really comes down to, you can be a banker and be ethical and at the same time hit your numbers, but it's hard. It really is hard. It's because you have to talk to 5, 6, 10, 20 more people than that banker that's kind of skirting it or even going across that ethical line.
And Wells was forcing those bankers to do that. So they were, if they disagree with it, going against their ethics. But, bankers, man, we always talk about how Miami was built off of drug money, but they were allowed to do that because the banks down there were helping them launder their money, like knowingly helping them launder their money. So, Ferg mentioned selling cigarettes. I'll talk about some of my jobs. I worked at McDonald's, and I think just as much as we shame people that smoke cigarettes, I think we could make a fair argument. We could shame people that eat fast food the same way. I mean, that food is just as dangerous as cigarettes in a lot of ways. But without mentioning specifics on my current job, like I said, I worked it.
That's has to be the worst.
Put it like this. I haven't done anything against my ethics, but I am a police officer, and I work around Congress. So, you know, I'll say, given the position I have, I can't speak out like I would like to when I see a Philando Castile getting shot down, or Tamir Rice, or things like that. Like, you know, I have to watch what I say about specific politicians and things like that I may disagree with. So maybe not anything that don't sacrifice it ethically, but it definitely prevents me from like completely speaking my mind if I had a different job.
But I think is that code switching again? Are we back to code switching?
Well, code switching is more or less like how you it like when I'm talking about it's when I'm talking about it's the absence of an opinion versus catering.
I get it.
You know what I mean?
You know, I'm in sales, so I do the same thing. You know, for you guys that don't know, I haven't watched the NFL since 2017, 2000. I forgot. I don't even know how long now.
It's about 3 seasons for you now.
So yeah, so I'm in sales here in Texas, the football capital of the U.S. and Cowboys, Houston, Texans, and everybody. I'm in sales, so I'm going out. People want to talk about the game, and I gotta act like because the last thing I can say is this black guy is boycotting football.
Yeah.
You know, you already don't want to be the angry black guy. You know, there's so many conversations about, I work for a company that sold payroll and payroll services during the height of Obamacare. You know how many Obamacare conversations I was in, and, you know, people these old business owners that did not want to have to purchase health insurance and had their opinion on having to report to the ACA. I mean, I'm sitting there just biting my tongue, listening to these people call him everything but the N-word, you know? So I'm like, just go ahead and say it so we can just get this conversation over with. Like, just call them what you want to call them, you know? And it's, are you just that free, or are you trying to see how I'm going to respond?
Yeah.
And because
it was the same thing in banking with Dodd-Frank. Like, I was just like, most of the stuff in Dodd-Frank makes sense, man. Like, the Consumer Protection Bureau makes sense for us. But as a banker, you know, that's going to hurt our bottom line, and that's going to hurt us. And so, you know, I had to do that same thing and listen and bite my tongue, because again, that is totally code switching. You have to kind of play that game, and I've been really good about being able to say I disagree, but not go so far that, you know, I alienate my coworkers because I know they are, you know, totally against it and whatever.
I have walked out of a meeting before, though. I have walked out of a meeting where customers like, you know what, I think this is better left with somebody who you can talk to a little more freely. I appreciate your time, and I'll follow up, you know, and just got up and walked out. And I was like, I'm already in Texas, and I was in the outskirts of, I think I might have been in Alvin or something, like, think about Mobile and being whatever is outside of Theodore, you know, like that's where I was at. But I think when I look back, sales is very sketchy.
Right.
Because I remember when I did, I think my craziest jobs were when I did telemarketing. One time I worked for the Fraternal Order of Police in Florida. And so I would call, and they prey on these elderly people, you know, in the areas with the retirement communities and stuff like that. In my first week, I wasn't getting anywhere with Tavares, so I became Ferguson. And it was, you know, I turned my ethnic voice off, and, you know, became Ferguson.
No, you gotta go see the movie. What is it? Sorry to Bother You, I think is the code switching movie.
Yeah.
You gotta go watch that. It's exactly like that. It really is.
Oh, I'm gonna check that out tonight.
And so, I mean, but I'm sitting there knowing these people because I had to get paid. You know, I was a broke college student, and I got commission for getting these people to commit. And when I look back on it, I knew it wasn't just like, I knew I was selling to people that probably couldn't afford it. But now that I'm older and understanding what fixed income really is, because a lot of these people are on fixed income, and I'm getting to donate $100, $200 a month, or that $200 at one time, you know, whatever the case may be, you know, Byron, can I count on you? I had a southern draw and everything, man. Like, and it was just crazy. and I just felt bad after it. I think one day I had this one lady, and I think I sold her, and I just felt bad, and I got up, went to the restroom, and I just never came back. That was my last day working there. I couldn't do it.
So specifically, I will name one thing at my job. So I believe in peaceful protesting, but I've had to arrest people that protested because you can't disrupt Congress when they're in session. So that's not like I wouldn't call that an ethic thing, but that's something that, hey, on the surface, I believe in what you're doing, but you're just doing it in the wrong place at the wrong time. And I gotta do my job. And I've also done sales. I worked at Sears, telemarketing, where they would call and ask for parts, but we had to try to sell them more than one or sell them something else related to it.
A warranty.
Yeah, but it's not as bad as you people in Mobile that worked at West. Everybody that worked at West, if you worked at West, you did something unethical. And I'm talking to you too, Tabitha. Yes.
West was a big party. Summer 2000?
I worked at West 3 weeks a month, and out of it, I think I made 3 sales.
We sat next to each other.
And let me clarify that. If you were successful at West, you did some unethical things.
We were at $8.50 an hour or something like that?
Yeah, buddy.
It was crazy because it was
I was jealous of people working at West, man.
The thing about it, what you don't realize is me and Razi have been in constant competition since the mid-90s. So I can go 2 days without making a sale. If Razi made a sale that day, I made 2. It was just out the blue. I can go weeks without making. Razi just got a sale. I gotta outdo you today. Or so that was my motivation.
They hire everybody.
I don't know why they hired us.
Anybody that came out there, they hired them.
I think we interviewed and started working the same day. I think did we interview together? Was it like Step Brothers?
I felt like I think we went in, we applied, they called us back separately, they told both of us to start, and then they sat us right next to each other, and we did. Yeah, we started the same day.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Well, bring us home, Raz.
All right, I had a longer one, but we've gone kind of long, so I'm gonna shorten this one. I'm just gonna wrap it up with I was watching Godfather because that's favorite trilogy, hands down, ever. But I saw a post after because Siri be listening, and as soon as you watch something, stuff start coming on your feed that looks like it. And so I saw a post on Facebook that said Goodfellas versus Casino.
Yeah.
Which one was better?
I've asked this question before. I mean, it's the same movie.
No, it's not. They're very different.
It's not very different. They're essentially the same movie. But I go with, damn. Go Ferg.
You know what? My answer is gonna be quick. I've seen both of them multiple times, but Goodfellas stood out a little more to me to the point where I roll Casino almost like Byron into one movie. I think what happened to this part? Oh, that's Casino. I'm literally waiting for parts of the movie to happen, and it's that's the wrong movie. So
it's only because Joe Pesci was in both.
Joe Pesci plays the movie.
And Robert De Niro.
Yeah, De Niro. But Pesci was the same person in both movies almost.
They both use music throughout the whole movie. They're the same movie. Just one is in Vegas and one is wherever Goodfellas is.
So I'm gonna do
He's
Goodfellas,
in the Bronx,
man.
Right?
Yeah. Joe Pesci. So it comes down to which role was Joe Pesci's best role. Which one do you appreciate him more in? So
Man,
so I'm funny, funny like a clown.
What am I? Ha funny?
Yeah. So
my Joe Pesci part is on Casino when he comes to Robert De Niro's house when he has to walk from the golf course and he catches the banker. It's like, man, you're a hard guy to catch up with. And dude's like, well, I told you, you may lose some money. He's like, yeah, I think I haven't explained to you what I do for a living. That part right there, champ, makes me want to pick Casino. I can't pick, man. I can't pick. They're both great movies.
I'm going with Goodfellas, man. I just feel like Goodfellas I don't know, man.
You know, I'm gonna go Casino. I go Casino.
Right.
I mean, you're wrong.
Any
but
particular
it's
reason why? Just.
I think it has more scenes that I laugh at, like the one I named when Robert De Niro had to kick old boy out for having his feet on the table, and Joe Pesci called, and like it just has more scenes that I like when they meet up in the desert. When the F did I ever ask you to move out here, huh? Yes.
Yeah.
All of it, man. Plus,
I might have to watch that this weekend.
Yeah.
I might have to watch both of them this weekend again.
Yeah. For me, it's Casino because I feel like the story has a better arc and it ends better. Like it all comes together. Goodfellas for me at the end when he's running and you know he's thinking the cops are like chasing him. He's all paranoid and he's like starting to trip out and stuff. It loses me at that point. And so for me, Casino ends better. And I think they just learned because I want to say Goodfellas came out first and then Casino. They came out around the same time, but I want to say Goodfellas came out first. And I really do think they kind of learned from that and they wrapped the story up better. Yeah. So Casino, that extra, I think it's like 20 minutes longer. That extra 20 minutes made a big difference in actually being able to finish out the story. So for me, it's Casino.
Yeah, whenever I got arrested and stuff like that, it could have ended. It could have ended about 20 minutes earlier. So I stick with it. I like Joe Pesci better in Goodfellas.
Yeah.
He's a made man, you know. I feel like, I guess because I saw Goodfellas first, I almost feel like Casino was a sequel to it, or you know, like it was a follow up. So it was like seeing, and like you said, Byron, it was so close. Seeing Goodfellas first took away some of the oomph for Casino for me because it's kind of like, well, I've seen this character, like he already made his mark. Joe Pesci is the perfect middleman, mid-level asshole with the Napoleon complex, chip on his shoulder, all that stuff. Who's made? Like you can't touch him. So that was a good one, man.
He never got made. He never got made in Goodfellas though.
Yeah, he
tried.
Did.
Yeah, that's true.
Luckily.
Yeah, exactly.
He would have been crazy as a made man.
Oh man, like old boy son on Ozarks.
Oh, I haven't. I stopped middle of season 2 on Ozark.
Oh man,
I think I just got not lost. I stopped watching it, and it's hard for me to pick stuff back up if I stop watching it. So,
gotcha.
But fellas, it's that time. So, what you got to leave us with?
I just want to plug. We talked about shows. Razi's last question was a movie. I just want to plug Mixed-ish, man. I don't think it get as much love as Blackish, but they go there on Mixed-ish as well. Like with the whole mixed couple thing, like one of the episodes I saw, a black family moves into the neighborhood finally, and they're like happy to meet Rainbow's mom, and then her dad walks in, and it's like how they start treating it. Yeah. So they go there on a lot of things, man. So the writing for both of the shows and even Grownish are great. So if you haven't checked those shows out, pick up those episodes. And again, please send recommendations on Netflix because I'm running low.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't got on Mixed yet because Grownish. I started watching Grownish. My wife actually really likes it. We watched the last few episodes, last night. I think I was so impressed with the main character in the beginning on Blackish, and then when she got to college and kind of just went wild. So I'm like, I need a young female role model for my daughter, and it's like this might be it. Oh, never mind.
Oh, Zoe ain't it.
Zoe
is not it.
On Grownish, she was such like you're like okay, she got personality, she's confident, da da da. Then she gets to Grownish, and she just wilds out, like name it, drugs, alcohol, like everything. And I'm like, I think I'm over it. I can't. I think I stopped watching it as much because I was just so disappointed in her.
Oh man, I disagree with y'all.
No, yeah, I think her.
I know, growth. But I'm just saying I was looking for a young black female role model, and she broke my heart.
So I like Mixed-ish because it's literally my life. Like it's so funny. growing up, I dealt with all that stuff that they deal with. You know, the black auntie that's talking all that stuff about the white daddy. Like, I remember my auntie Nat talking stuff about my dad. Like,
but dad don't look white though. That's the thing.
The granddad is like that's like my favorite racist on TV, man. Yo, he be tripping me out, man.
Yeah, man. So mixed fish, it hits home, man.
I'll check it out. But no, like your dad to like, it's. I know he's Italian, but I still don't want to make him. I still want to make him black. Like until like this past month, like meeting Chrissy and stuff like that, it's like, oh yeah, that nigga ain't black. Like he's like, what are these white people doing at the house? You know, it's like, but it's like you really see it's like, he do really got white relatives. Like, and I like, they came to your graduation and stuff like that. I've known you for 20 plus years and I've been around your family, but it's just like, it's moments like that hit like, oh, I forget this dude is not really, his family ain't all black. Cause that, like you see that is like he like light-skinned dude from Mobile.
Like a former the barge.
Yeah, like he was giving a former the barge. Dad's one of us. But then when you say stuff like him being a Republican and all this stuff, it's like, oh yeah. Forget. What you got for us?
Nothing, man. I just want, again, thank you guys, all the love, the prayers and everything that I've been getting, all the check-ins, and from the earlier discussion, I don't want you guys to think if you did tell me it was in God's plan and all that stuff, I don't want you to feel like I was coming for you, because I understand where your heart is, and I'm not judging or anything like that, but that's probably the response that a lot of people give, and the person that's receiving it a lot of times is probably thinking the same thing I was about, it's just chaos and it's ringing hollow now. But looking back, people are going to feel it. And I feel it. And I know the love's there. I know you're trying to find the right answer and find the right thing to say. And so I just appreciate all of that. Other than that, just thank you guys for all the love you're showing, to Three Brothers No Sense, the Facebook page, the Instagram, it's growing, all of that social media. Loving to see all of the merch, and when you guys posting that saying, hey, I bought it, or I see it, we see y'all and we appreciate it, man. So just keep doing that for us.
Yeah. And I'm glad you clarified that, Razi. So this was not a jab at anybody, because I too was that person who would probably say those things until I was going through it myself and literally had a conversation with somebody and they made me aware of what I was saying versus what I was hearing and kind of brought it home for me. So a lot of times it's just searching for the right thing to say. But I'm going to go with Razi. Thank you all. And I'm going to ask you guys to challenge us, man. What do you guys want to see from us? What do you want to hear from us? What do you need to do? What do we need to do to keep your attention, get more listeners? We have almost 2,000 followers, and, we want those 2,000 followers to become to 2,000 listeners. So we definitely want your support. We want to see what we can do to make this quarantine, COVID-19 time period a time that you guys really get to know the brothers better. So let us know what you need. I'm going to hold Razi's feet to the fire. He owes us a couple of videos, so make sure if he doesn't send those videos sometimes next week, you guys get at him. But it's Three Brothers No Sense signing off. You know how we do. Listen, like, share, subscribe, comment, and most importantly, listen again. Talk to you later.